Welcome to the Ways of Joy podcast. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. I'm a mindset empowerment coach and an energy healer. This podcast is about finding joy. It will also be about inspiring people who have built joy-filled lives. You'll hear more about how to find joy through the day, the weeks, the months, and years of your life, and learn about how to spread joy. You'll also hear powerful stories that don't sound joyful at the beginning, but where joy was found. I started this podcast because I wanted to normalize finding joy in the ups and downs of daily life. I hope you feel inspired and entertained. Pop in your earbuds, take me with you on your commute, or both. Let's do this. Find waves of joy. Would you like to feel better and release limiting beliefs? Of course you would. I created a free meditation for you that's downloadable. As soon as you click submit, I'll email you with a downloadable version of this free meditation. Go to brendawinkle.com/feel better.
Yes.
Oh my God, Ashleigh, it's so good to have you on the podcast.
Brenda, thank you for having me. I'm pretty excited to finally have this time together.
Me too. I literally have full body chills right now. We just got off of a mastermind call together and we collectively are on fire.
We are. And we were talking about when you have a fiery personality, right?
Mhm.
And maybe people around you, I was talking about my spouse, doesn't. Sometimes when you're all fired up and really energized about something, it can be exhausting to other people. Right?
Uh-huh.
But you and I are both on the same wavelength right now. And what we were just saying was when we're excited, other people sometimes feel like, oh, they need to be the fuel, like to sustain that for us. But what I tell my husband is, I just need you to match my excitement for a split second. And then I will go on my way to implement my new idea or come up with another idea. I just need someone to witness, wow, you're really excited about this. And
Yes.
that really helps me, because it can feel a little isolating being in your own curiosity and imagination and big dreams, because you're like creating and inventing things in your mind. So figuring out, oh, who would like to go there with me, or has anyone ever done this that I know of, can have me feeling like a little ungrounded. So just being seen in my idea is really such a gift.
Yes, that's it. Exactly. Just someone to say, I see you right now in this moment being on fire. That's really all that we need. We don't need someone to sustain it or to even be on fire. Just someone to say, I see you. You're on fire.
Wow. Exactly. And some people may be like, oh my God, being on fire, that's dangerous. But no, it feels so exciting. It feels so good.
Yeah.
And got to tell you, okay, in the mastermind that we're doing together and in spiritual work I do on my own, I have this fear sometimes that if I go deeper in my own work or healing or spirituality, that part of me that I really like, that part that gets so excited and will have to fall away. And I've been embracing that. No, those parts I really love about myself, that comes from my true self, that comes from a deeper place.
Yes.
So I think the secret may be that I get to tap into that even more and connect with other people who want to do, who I could message you before breakfast, Brenda, and be like, okay, I have 6 new business ideas. And you would say, tell me all of them.
I would. I'd be like, let's do this together. Let's do it. Bring it.
Right.
Yes, I love that. And, that resonates with me because I think there is this fear that if we become spiritual, that we lose our personality. Right? And I don't think that's the case. I think that the more spiritual we become, the more we peel back the layers on who we really are.
Oh, that is so true. Okay. And I wrote about this in my first book, my book Swing. I grew up in figure skating and a really sensitive kid, like so many of us are. And from the performing from such a young age and tuning in to the energy of adults around me. And I took the temperature of everyone in a room when I would walk in. And I would just very quickly know what every person needed from me in order for them to feel good. Okay. If it was a teacher who I had to like thank them for something or be helpful, or if it was a coach and they just wanted me to like bust my little butt or whatever. If this person, I could tell they felt uncomfortable because I looked like pretty that day. So I need to just kind of downplay it by doing something like a little, like to disarm them, whatever it was. And I didn't realize this till I was probably 35. I had 3 kids, like 10 years into my marriage. And I was like, oh, no wonder I'm exhausted, because I'm showing, what I thought was I'm just showing this facet of myself. Like, we're all multifaceted. It's not like I'm being someone I'm not. It's not like I'm faking, but I realized, you know what? No, it's kind of a facade I construct for each one of these people to try to make them feel more comfortable. And I worried, Brenda, if I dropped them, that the work of gathering the pieces, sorting through the rubble to find out who am I really, would be even more exhausting and terrifying, because it would be all new ways to interact with people and new things to learn about myself. And I thought, like, that's terrifying. Like, what if I can't put together something that feels as good as all these exhausting facades feel right now? And it held me back for a long time from like being my real self with like anybody. Okay. So it was actually a really close family member. I just like, like those blinds you pull down. These blinds used to always mess me up when I was a kid. You'd pull them down and then they would either stick down or you'd pull it the right way and it would snap up like really, really fast. Like if you wanted it to go up, but it was unpredictable.
Right.
And I would always ask my mom, but wait, what's the trick? And she's like, it's just like this. And I was like, yeah, I still don't get it. And I need this to be more predictable. But I thought, so what I did with this facade with this one person I was really close to, it was like I just pulled the blind and it just snapped down to the floor like it was going down. And I was like, I'm not holding that up for them anymore in our interactions. And there was a period at the end of that sentence. It wasn't, and then I'm going to do this instead. It was like, I'm just not going to perform this relationship anymore. I'm not going to try to predict how their mood is going to be or how they would react to this sentence or my outfit, or I'm just me now. Okay. And what I realized was, oh, there's actually a me underneath that's been there the whole time. It's almost like all these facades that I was building up were like sandcastles. And I was doing all this work, when you build a sandcastle, Brenda, or when your 9-year-old, this happened at the beach last week, builds the sandcastle too close to the water. Ooh. The job of the whole family for the whole day is to preserve the sandcastle. Right? Because all of life is trying to tear it down. Right? A kid who walks by, the crabs, the birds, the wind, the waves, everything is trying to just tear down the facades and the things that we build up to try to be acceptable to other people, to try to be in favor with other people, to try to earn our success, to try to earn our goddamn love, to try to just feel like we're enough and present like we're worthy. And what I realized was, oh my God, all I need to do is just stop holding these up. And they fall away so quickly. And it's like sandcastles built, like really extravagant, like for a contest. And when they go away, you see underneath is a perfect, beautiful bronze statue.
Yes.
That's not.
And we never knew it was there.
We never knew. And it's not fucking moving. It's not even changing. It has been there since day one.
Mm-hmm.
And that is you. And,
Yeah.
you can't even see it or feel it until you just drop all of the other stuff you're trying to hold up.
The people pleasing and the performing and all of the things. In fact, when we did our little assignment in the mastermind this morning, right before you and I hopped on this call, I did a Facebook Live about how to protect your energy and saying that so many people pleasers are highly empathic, which is why it is physically painful to disappoint someone because you take it on. And so my specialty is teaching people to let that go and to protect your own energy so that you can send back other people's energy to them. Because, oh my God, it's so exhausting to be people pleasing and taking on all the emotions of the people around us. And like you say, performing this relationship. Oh,
Performing. And Brenda, what you just said about, the people pleasing and the codependency and the really trying to just manage people.
mm-hmm.
It's so incredible because even as a kid, I thought, listen, I know this is a little tiring for me, and I know this is extra work for me in this room right now, but I don't think they can handle this conversation without me doing this.
Right.
Or I remember we were playing board games at the beach last week. We were at the beach for a week. We play a lot of board games, and I had so much fun playing board games with my kids because it wasn't always fun when I was a kid. And like, is it Monica off Friends? They were calling her like the fun police, like during board game night. Like, is that so?
Yeah.
I haven't even seen that episode, Brenda, but people would compare me to her. Okay. So I've never even seen the episode. But I just know that there's right. Like I probably explained it pretty well because it was like put on me as a label.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing with my kids and I was like, okay, so having fun is like much easier now. Why is that? And I realized, especially in a big family board game, like if cousins and aunts and uncles were there, say it was Christmas time, and there were teams and a lot of people, I wanted to make sure everybody felt safe and good about the game. So if there was any twisting of the rules, I rose up to say like, oh, no, you can't do that because you just said, no, they can't do that on the other side. I mean, I would be fine if we were like bending the rules, like, oh, house rules tonight, we're doing this. Awesome. So fun to bend the rules and get creative with what expectations we have for this game, right? Like what we're going to set as our rules. Yeah. But if something was just denied to someone else, that then the other side, it doesn't even matter whose team I was on, Brenda. It doesn't. And I think that that's what caused so much frustration. I would call it out on my own team. If someone was trying to bend a rule that someone else just was told no about. And I was like, people would get so mad at me and my brother would be like, jump on me quickly. And I didn't realize until playing board games last week that, oh, I need everybody to feel safe in order for me to relax enough to have fun. And I always thought, listen, I know this is extra work for me, but I don't trust that anybody else is going to be okay here unless I do that. Anybody else? Anybody?
Oh my gosh, how freeing it is that you have let that go.
I have.
Because I've come into your life and you've come into my life at a phase where I don't see this side of you at all.
Okay, that's amazing. Now here's some of the places it shows up just a little bit. At the beach, when they were going out to play pickleball or playing this game or that game, sometimes I would just go up to the bedroom and rest. I didn't fall asleep, but I just went and I like rested for a bit and then came back down and said goodnight to everybody. But I was like, oh, they're all having fun. I can just relax now. But I knew they were going to be okay without me. Like I knew they there weren't going to be fights breaking out. Like it was going to be fine. But so sometimes I can't step into fun as easily as some adults I know, but I see in myself, oh, at least I'm not thinking I have to manage this fun experience for everyone. And my in-laws, my husband's parents usually come with us to the beach, and they didn't actually come this time. It was the first beach vacation we've ever taken without them. Okay. So this is another part of like, oh, Ashleigh, yeah, you're allowed to go away to the beach if you take your in-law. Okay. So that was interesting because I was like, oh, I just get to enjoy this with my family. And my brother-in-law and his new girlfriend came, which was awesome. But I was like, oh, wait a minute, I could just do this for us. Okay, that's a cool feeling because I didn't really allow that before. And oh, with my in-laws not being here and me not always having to check, is my mother-in-law having fun? Does she like what we're eating? Does she want to walk on the beach and collect shells with me? These are all things I love doing with her, right? But I realized how, oh, that codependency dies hard in like really feeling like I need to manage the experience for everybody.
Yeah.
All the
That's
time.
hard.
It's a lot.
And these beliefs that we have about how we have to caretake people, they come in a lot of different ways. And so I always tell my theta healing clients, like, we store these in 4 different levels: on the physical level, on the spiritual level, on the genetic level, and on the history level. So we might resolve these beliefs on one level, and then maybe it's sticking around in another, which is why we have that push-pull, where we sometimes think, okay, I've resolved this. And then it pops up again for us in some unexpected way. Oh, look at that. It's still there in this interesting way.
It's like whack-a-mole, right?
Yes.
You're like, I got it. And then it's like, boop, pops right out. And this was always so annoying for me working with my therapist, and she's an energy practitioner. And there are probably similarities to the work you do and the work she does. And I was like, Jackie, we've been here before. We've gone through this. And she's like, Ashleigh, it's not a road. It's a garden. It's a garden.
Yes.
Like, even though you weeded that and mulched that bed so well last summer, doesn't mean there's not going to be any work to do in it this summer. Like,
oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's a, and I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. Because one of the reasons I like this office, it overlooks my garden, which is 1,200 square feet of weeds. Of weeds, actually. I didn't plant anything this year. I was like, you know what? Let's just go wild. Let's go au naturel with the garden. Let's see what happens. But I worked that garden. I really worked that garden. First, we've been here for 10 years. So this is my 11th summer with this garden. You know, like 52 tomato plants my first summer with that garden, Brenda.
That's a lot of tomato plants.
It is. Like, I canned and kept like 40 quarts of tomato sauce, or canned. I don't even know if I sauced them. What did I do? It was all such a blur because I was having my third baby, homeschooling, being a wannabe homesteader, just about to triple the size of my business, like all of these things. And I was just like, yeah, let's do more. Let's go for the highest level of difficulty. Because I mean, growing up in skating, growing up in any sport or any activity where like discipline is essential, which is like a whole bunch of different things, right? I was trained myself, or both, so young to ignore when my body told me to stop.
Yes.
Ignore when my mind would say, I think that's enough for today. And to push through. Every single day, I measured my success on how well I ignored what my body and my brain and my heart were telling me. Like,
ooh, this resonates, right? Because I was trained as a classical musician.
There we go.
It's the same kind of thing where you outsource your sense of validation. And so then you're checking boxes of, did I practice it right? Did I get this passage correct? Did I pass this audition? Did my teacher give me kudos? Did I make this, this achievement thing? And then we start measuring ourselves by all of the things that are outside of us. And we put what we know, what we experience, what we feel, what we dream on the back burner, because it's all about what's outside.
on the back burner and shove it down so low, because the way that you're good, the way that you're good in that day, and the way that you're good when you're being evaluated against your peers who are also trying to do the same thing is
yes.
How hard did I push down what I wanted in order to do what was necessary?
Right. And then there's the element of competition too.
The competition, and even, I mean, figure skating is notorious for body image issues and things like that. And I had an especially hard coach in that area. So Brenda, by the time I was 11, I hated when I felt hungry.
Oh,
I was like, what is wrong with you that you think you need something from outside? Like it was like, it's like I was a tiny little, like 11-year-old Stepford wife or something, like, right. I was just like, no, self-powered, no.
Literally self-powered, not even food.
Not even food. Like, how weak are you that you think you need food? I mean, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I refer to it as my body image sobriety, actually, which I found, or it found me when I was like 22 years old, right after I met my husband. And honestly, like that day, like a switch flipped, and it's given me so much. It's helped me believe in so much possibility in these next 20 years of my life. Yeah, because it was 20 years ago, like next month this happened.
Aww.
Okay. It's given me so much possibility, because I was like, oh, wait. No, I literally flipped a switch that day, and I was like, no, we're not doing this here anymore. We're not counting calories. We are not letting that little voice that says, oh, you shouldn't eat that, or what about this, or blah, 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 ruin one more fucking day. Ruin one more trip to a sushi restaurant. Ruin one more time mixing my cup of coffee in the afternoon going, oh, well, if I put this creamer in it. No, we are not. There are going to be other things that I have to deal with, but we're not doing that anymore. We're not going to play this game that my worth in this 24-hour period has anything to do with what I do or do not put in my mouth.
I love this. And you are so empowered and so embodied. And oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And I think about where you've been and where you are now. And where you are now is a stand for possibility, for pleasure, for embodying yourself, for embracing the body as it is. And it's just intoxicatingly beautiful. Thank you.
And what I heard too when you said that was, we don't need to compromise anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what, so my first book, Swing, is about my marriage. My marriage. That was
tell us
great.
All about this book. And then I want to hear about your next book too.
Yes. So my book, Swing, is about how, as a perfectionist mom, I took doing it all to the next level as the world's worst attempted swinger. Like Brenda, I thought, okay, yeah, all right, I tripled the size of my business. I'm homesteading. I'm homeschooling on purpose. This is before pandemic. Okay.
Right.
All of these things. And you know what would be even higher level of difficulty and like more evolved? What if we were non-monogamous? Yeah. What if I like wasn't jealous and my husband had a girlfriend or whatever? I actually thought, oh yeah, this is even more evolved than what we're doing right now, right? It wasn't even like this, like wildly like, oh, I want to be the bad girl I never was. No. It was like this idea that it was like this next achievement level of difficulty, like level up in my mind. Okay.
Well, I'm tracking because I'm that achiever too. Like, oh, well, if I'm this evolved, let's try and push it to this new level. Okay. So tell us what happened.
Yeah. So let's just push it to this new level. Okay. I'm not a good mom unless I have like a heroic number of kids. Luckily, after 3, my husband was like, can we be done? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. Because I was always like 4 or more, because I just thought like, are you really good at it unless like you're elite? Because I mean, right?
It's
I
the
grew up in
same.
figure skating.
It's
It's
the
like,
same
oh,
thinking.
did you land the quad? Really? Like, how many kids do you have? And you think you're big? I was like, it was so bonkers. It was so bonkers. And I'm so grateful that some of the veils have been like dropped and I've gone, oh yeah, I don't need to grow another human. Thanks. I think I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Done with that. Okay. Very quickly in the story. So first scene, I'm of swing. I'm standing in line to use the bathroom at an invite-only sex party in New York City, where we had to send in headshots and a relationship bio to get on the guest list. Okay. And I'm looking around, Brenda, and it looks like a fucking casting call for The Bachelor. Like it is like these beautiful rich people and like diverse. It's like United Nations of hotness. And I'm like, this feels like a movie. Like who is this woman who's doing this? What is happening? Okay. And then it goes into like, oh, sort of like how we got there. What I realized so quickly, like things imploded very quickly when we dipped our toes into this lifestyle. That, oh yeah, I'm not just looking for like, oh, something that's more difficult or this or that. Everywhere in my life, I am looking for something to say to me, you're worthy, Ashleigh. You're worthy. So the first time I got attention from another man at one of these places, oh my God, Brenda, it was like I turned into, like morphed into this boy crazy version of myself. I'm like 35 years old. Like, what is happening here? But it was intoxicating. It was intoxicating to get this attention, this affirmation, this like text. Good morning, sunshine. That thing you told me yesterday was so funny. I can't stop laughing. It wasn't even all sexual. It was just like, oh, someone seeing me.
Someone
Noticing, hearing me. I was like, wow, I have so many things going on in my life and I don't feel this anywhere. Like, how did I even orchestrate this that I like don't ever feel any of this coming back to me? And you'll understand it's a really stealth job to build a whole life but never receive anything yourself.
Oh, I get that.
Crafty.
It takes a next level talent to be able to create this life for everyone around you. And then you're like, but no, none for me. Thanks.
I don't need any thanks.
Right.
Thanks. I'm good. I'm good. So very quickly I realized, oh shit. Our relationship isn't as solid as I thought it was. It's actually like there's no foundation, like it's foundationless. Like we've just been like dancing on clouds or something for 12 years. And whoa, I am realizing if I'm going to keep looking outside of myself, I'm just never going to stop. Like where am I going to go with this really? Because I realize like none of that is going to fill me up. And what I need to do, well, first I thought I need my husband to be better. That my whole life would be easier if my husband just told me that I looked nice sometimes, initiated an I love you, said, thanks for being a good mom, like quarterly. Like what if it was like, every quarter, 4 times a year, he'd be like, hey, you're a good mom. Because it was like never happening, right? I'd really created this dynamic, and we co-created this dynamic where we were excellent business partners and amazing tag team parents. And because sex was the only way I would get any connection, any intimacy, because there was no emotional intimacy, there was no intellectual intimacy, especially passing 3 kids back and forth for years. The only way I would get any intimacy was in the bedroom. So I would, initiate sex like once or twice a week because I was like, all right, well, I need that. And the sex was always good. That was easy. So I wanted him to change. And I was like, just he wanted me to be happy, but he wasn't getting it. So it started coming out in my body in like, as it does with like, skin cancer on my forehead, cervical cells that are abnormal, this, that. Like, I hadn't been to a doctor in like a decade. I just been to my midwife for regular physicals and things. And all of a sudden, like my body that was like, my vehicle for everything I did and like could sustain 100 hours on the ice over 2 weeks, Brenda, started like breaking down. And I would sit in meditation and I would beg, like, what do I need to do to be healthy again? What do I need to do to be better? And I heard, you need someone who loves you better. And I was like, I knew it.
Right.
Husband
and then you go
needs
looking
to be
outside.
Better.
Yes.
Right. Husband needs to be better. Okay, divine. Does that mean I should leave today? Silence. Does that mean I should get a boyfriend on the side? Because like that was really complicated when I tried that. Silence. Okay. So, and then I would get up at the end of my meditation and be like, thanks for nothing. Like, see you again tomorrow. So every day I would sit like this for months and months. And then finally, one day, it's like, what? Like I was on my knees, Brenda, like, what do I need to do? And I mean, meditation ideally should be like a little more non-grasping than this, but I was begging. So, and I heard again, you need someone who loves you better. I was like, yeah, I heard you the first 100 times.
Yeah.
And then I heard, and it's you.
There it is.
And I was like, clear as day. Because when I'm like, please give me the answer, it comes like in the form of a sentence that like someone has read off a teleprompter.
Oh, that's how it comes for me too.
Yeah. Words right in front of me. Like I see them, and then I say it and I can still see it. It's like the words like hang in the air, like in my imagination. And I looked at them and I was like, oh, well, like, why didn't you say that the first time? Because I get that. Okay, me, because like I said, since I was 11 years old,
right.
Self-powered, self-sustaining. If it's like, Ashleigh, you need to actually stand on your head for 6 hours a day and only eat this or do that, or do this ritual with the full moon and blah, blah. Brenda, I'll do it times 10. Like I will be the MVP of like whatever routine or protocol there is. So when it was like, you need to love yourself better.
So Ashleigh, when you first started that journey of self-love, what was the first thing that you did or thought?
I thought, I am going to write myself love letters every day for a year.
Oh, I love that.
And it was February 29th. I was like, oh my God, it's a leap year. And this was the day that this came in. Yeah, that was the day it came in. It's February 29th of one of the leap years that were recent. I don't know. Have to look at the calendar for that. But I was like, I'm going to do it. And this year I get an extra year. This year I get an extra day. Yeah. I am going to write myself love letters every day for a damn year. And God damn it, if I don't feel self-love by then, no. But I was like dedicating myself, like, no, I am going to give myself what I need. Okay, so I started that day. Dear Ashleigh, blah, 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 from Ashleigh. And then I would write myself love letters from my husband saying the things I wanted him to say. I would write love letters from my kids so often and so loudly. Everything I was pushing down in myself would come out sideways at my kids. Like I would just rage on my poor, immature, adorable, annoying children. You know what I mean? It would come out sideways at them.
It comes out sideways for all of us. If we don't deal with it and we're not actually receiving love, it comes out in ways that we don't plan and we don't like, and we don't even totally like, we feel like we can't predict it. But of course, when we look back, we're like, oh yeah, it's obvious because I was being so mean to myself. Of course it had to come out.
It's so obvious once you have like a little awareness and space around it. So I would write myself letters from my kids saying, hey mom, so when you yelled at breakfast, I know you weren't really mad at me. You were upset about that work email you just got. And also I was being kind of an idiot with my cornflakes, and I'm sorry, but I know that you love me and you're good, and I love you too, and everything's fine. Let's have a good day at the park, right? Then I started going into, okay, what unresolved issues are there with colleagues or people from my past or anybody that I just feel like I wish I could like redo that situation. And a lot of these were like really minor things from when I was like a little kid. Like one, Brenda, is, do you ever, or have you ever kept like a list in your head of like the dumbest things you've ever said? Because
I used to.
Yes.
I used to. And then I let it go because I realized it was a form of self-hate. And then it's a way that you can come back and beat yourself up about all the things that you said. So I worked on them individually to heal and forgive them so that I could move forward, because otherwise it was like poison.
And that's exactly what I did via letters for each one of them. So the one at the top of the list happened when I was 4 years old. My mom's friend had a new baby, and we went over to her house to see the new baby. And my brother, who's 2 years younger than me, was there too. So he's like 2 or 2.5. And she's nursing the baby when we come in. And my little brother whispers in my ear, "What is she doing?" And I say, "Oh, she's feeding the baby from her boobie." And the mom who's nursing the baby hears me, and she cracks up laughing. Okay. And she's like, "Oh my God, did you hear what Ashleigh said?" And I just felt humiliated. I was so embarrassed. Okay. And then we were there like for the whole afternoon, and more people kept coming and coming to see this new baby. And every time someone would walk in the door, she would go, "Oh my God, you have to hear what Ashleigh said." And she would repeat it, and I would be there. And every time I was like, it is not safe to open your mouth. You just need to just button it up forever. Like, it's too dangerous for something so stupid to come out of your mouth. Okay, Brenda, by the time I was like 9 years old, when I would think of that, I was like, oh, she thought it was cute. She thought it was cute. She thought it was funny.
Right.
No. Like that I knew and that I said it that way. And maybe it was her own way of like making other people feel less nervous about her nursing in front of everybody. Like all of these
Who
things,
knows?
right?
It could have been all of those things.
But it wasn't that. I was too stupid to ever open my mouth again. It wasn't that. So I wrote a letter to myself from her, and she moved from my hometown like before I was even 9 years old. So, but all of these years, like I've known, oh, it was actually cute and funny. But whenever I would say the wrong thing or get caught in like a little shame spiral, I would go back to that feeling that I felt as that 4-year-old who was just like wanting to help the little brother understand the very cool natural thing that was going on. Like,
well, one of the things that I just love about the story that you're telling about writing the letters is that you began to change the hologram that we all see, right? So we're all seeing this reflection of what we perceive our reality to be. And it's happening to us all the time in ways that we comprehend and in ways we don't. And you shifted it by creating these letters. Not only are you healing and are you sending love to yourself, but you're also changing how you're looking at things, which is so powerful, because I would imagine that you began to see evidence of this in your life really soon after beginning.
Oh, like so quickly. I said I was going to write them for a year. And within 2 weeks, my kids somehow weren't annoying anymore. They were still acting that way, but like it wasn't annoying. I started just seeing everything differently. Even my husband not doing the things I wanted him to do, or not connecting with me the way I was like, look at that. That's interesting. It wasn't as charged because I was filling myself up, and I was rapidly reimagining how I really wanted to look at this place called Earth and this meat suit called Ashleigh, navigating it. Okay, how do I really want to see this? What can I give to myself? And then, because I don't want anybody listening to think, okay, yeah, so she just like gaslit herself. Nice story. No, when I started filling myself up like that, I was able to have confrontational conversations in my business that I'd never been able to have before. I was able to have honest conversations with my mother-in-law that in the 12 years I'd known her, I was like, I could never tell her this. I came from just a more secure place. Well, I wanted to say like a higher, no, finally I had like some solid footing to go, listen, I know this is going to be an awkward conversation, but I'm willing to have it because I trust that this relationship could be even better than it is. And I respect
it right there. That's it right there.
Right?
Because if we don't set boundaries or have honest conversations with the people in our lives, eventually we'll decide to leave those relationships and decide there's something wrong with them. So when we have those difficult conversations, it's because we want to keep those people in our lives. But we tell ourselves other stories.
Right. And what I just heard too, another part of that you said, we'll leave them or we'll leave ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. If we're in a relationship that is not a match, is not fulfilling, is not like, filled with esteem and reciprocity and care, and just like, I think of the relationship I have with the woman who works at the post office close by. We have such a great relationship. Like the respect she feels from me, the appreciation I feel from her, like back and forth. Like it's like when we were at the beach last week, she called me and she said, you had packages from Amazon outside your house that I saw when I passed, and they were getting rained on, and we were holding your mail. So I actually stopped by your house and I got the packages, and I'm holding them at the post office for you.
I love that.
Right? Because she was like, and that's not like, I mean, she just, listen, every single relationship we're in can have that resonance and can be like, oh, you're taking care of me, I'm taking care of you. Awesome, right? Without resentment, without compromise, without saying, oh, yeah, I don't need to have my needs met because you won't be able to handle not having your needs met. So I need to do this.
Ooh, oh my gosh, that's so good right there. That can be applied to literally every area of your life, no matter what the topic is. Being willing to show up and say, this is what I need, is gold. And it's the key to unlocking everything in your life.
It really is, because there's so much we have to get over to even let the words actually come into our own brain. I need this. Okay, right? Like we have to get over, oh, okay. Is it okay for me to need anything? Because in addition to me trying to push myself to be an elite athlete, and then I coached other athletes for 30 years. Okay. After that. So I wasn't just a competitor. Then I taught other people to like, oh yeah, make it all look effortless and beautiful, no matter like how much your body's screaming. Right. What we wonder is, wait, am I worthy of any of that? Any part of me that felt childish, like emotional or needy, I was like, ooh, that is an unsavory part of myself that I will train myself out of. Brenda, that's not childish. That's called human. It's called human.
Right.
And I honestly wished that I wasn't human. I honestly wished, because it hurt so much when I let myself feel that I was like, ouch, it's too much.
I totally get that. And I hear that from a lot of women on a lot of topics, whether it's asking for help around the house, whether it's asking their family members for support, not financial support, but even support my idea, support my dream, just listen to me talk. And then I especially hear it in my coaching practice, which is a little bit of a surprise when it comes to sexual relationships, which is what you talk a lot about in Keeping It Hot and also in Swing. Yes. Talk to us a little bit about Keeping It Hot.
Okay. So my second book is Keeping It Hot, the Workbook. Now it's funny. I left coaching skating in 2019. I started writing Swing. Within 12 months, I had offers from 2 literary agents, signed with one, totally underwhelmed by the experience. Like, did not like that. Someone else pitching my creative work. So on the eve of my 40th birthday, I broke up with my literary agent. And I had to wait 45 days before I could contact any other agents. There had been other agents who were interested at that time. And I was like, okay, so I have till mid-November, because my birthday's the end of September. I have till mid-November, and no agents or publishers are going to be looking at my social media. Oh my God, I could just post what I want. Okay. Which was such a relief, because for 4 years before that, even before I left skating, I was working so hard trying to get my words out and my writing out. And I was growing by 500 followers a year. Okay. And I'd worked so hard and, just really, really wanting it so badly. Because feeling that social media did have the opportunity to connect me with a lot of people who I thought I could help. Okay. The day after I broke up with my agent, I posted a video called How to Keep Monogamy Hot Part 1. I didn't even know what part 2 was going to be, but I just said part 1 to put myself on the hook to make a part 2. Okay. My audience grew by 55,000 people in 45 days.
Whoa.
Instagram, TikTok. I was like, so at the end, and hundreds of DMs a day. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. All right. So this is something that I just talk about naturally with my friends. And I made a little story about this 9 months ago, saying people were asking me for tips on potty training. And then someone asked me for tips on keeping it spicy in the bedroom. And I was like, listen, don't assume that you're going to have it at night or in the morning or whatever. Decide what time of the day is best for both of you. For me, nighttimes are for sleeping and mornings are for coffee. So why would I have sex during either of those times? Those are two of my favorite things in the entire world. No. And I love sex, but sleep beats it. I love sleep so much. Okay. So I said, so I like doing it at 5:30 p.m. Well, people lost their minds, Brenda. They were like, oh my God, we could decide what time of the day we want to have it instead of going to bed together and being like, is it going to happen tonight? I'm like, oh, I don't even go to bed with my husband. No. When I go to bed by myself, I need a cocoon of, he comes to bed at some point after I'm asleep for a while. No. And I have my earplugs in, so I don't even hear him come. But people were like, oh my God, we could have a conversation about this.
You could say what you actually preferred.
Yeah, we could say, hey, this sex thing, we both kind of wish we would have more, or it wouldn't be awkward. Are we doing it? Are we not? Can we just figure out, do we want to do it once a week? Do we want to do it before dinner a few times? What do we want to do? The fact that people could have this conversation was mind-blowing to so many people. And it blew my mind that it was mind-blowing. Okay. But people were loving this content so much. I was like, oh, I don't think I want an agent, and I think I don't want a publisher either. I'm going to start my own media company, my own publishing and print. I'm going to self-publish.
Yeah.
And I outsold 5 books on the New York Times bestseller list my first week. And now Swing has been optioned for a streaming series, and it's being considered. Gosh. Yeah, it's being considered. I'll tell you the name of the producer when we get off. One of the biggest names in streaming series, period. Period, beyond A-list in my mind. Okay. But that's all exciting and fine. The thing that I love is I have on average 80 conversations going in my DMs a day. And most of them, 80% of them, are from men who find my content and they're like, for a while, they were like, okay, so I'm probably the only straight guy following you, but I love your content. And I was like, spoiler, I've received 100 messages from men today. Okay. And they're like, I found your content. Thank you so much. Opened up this conversation with my wife, or this thing I didn't understand that my wife has been telling me for 5 years, hey, this is important. I just didn't get it. And the way you said it, I get it. So I sent the video to her and I'm like, I'm sorry I was so dense. And now she follows you too. And we're reading your book. And this one guy was like, yeah, we just basically do everything you say now. We get into bed together. We just watch your stories. I'm like, Ashleigh said this and this. Do you want to try that? But here's the thing, Brenda, for 23 years, it was my job to teach teams of teenage girls how to get along with each other. So, and ice time is expensive. Okay. And maybe we've flown across the country and we have an hour of ice at this rink before we go compete, right? If any one of those girls wasn't happy with me or herself or one of her teammates, we're not getting anything done. We are not getting the work done we need to get done. So I can look, that superpower I have to look at people and go, what do they need right now? I can look at an athlete. I can read a DM from a husband and a DM from a wife, and I can go, hey, actually, this is all the common ground you have. You have an incredible enough amount of common ground. If you want to believe you are on the same team and that you winning is actually both of you and your kids and your relationship and your profession's winning. Like that's what winning in marriage is. A lot of people fight to defeat their spouse. Yes. And it's like, okay, well, that's an L for the team. So, so I swear, I'm like the cooperation whisperer. If there is any common ground, boom, 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 I see it, I communicate it, and people are like, oh, maybe there's no bad guy. Maybe, okay, we can go do the work we're supposed to do together. All right, go. And because I lead with sex, I make videos about sex. All anybody wants to talk about are feelings. But then if a couple goes and they're like, okay, you know what? We are going to ship the kids off to the grandparents Saturday afternoon. And we are just going to have like a sexy afternoon, just the two of us. Just the two of us. We're going to do like a sexy massage. Maybe we're going to put on music. Maybe we're going to open a bottle of wine. Maybe, whatever. And then they both have this like sensuous, receptive, connecting experience that also probably a couple good orgasms. They're going to be like, well, working as a team is fun.
Yes.
Right. So they realize this bit of success right at the beginning and they're like, oh, okay. So in my book, Keeping It Hot the Workbook, I have this iceberg. And I say, listen, hot sex is the tip of the iceberg. Like we know if we're having it or if we're not. And we think we know if other people are having it or not. But it relies on, do I feel comfortable in my body? Do I feel safe with my partner? Do I feel supported in the home? Do I feel like I'm doing everything my fucking self? Do I know it's okay to like sex? Is my body healthy? Like, and for people with chronic illness, this is like, it's a relative, right, term. And like there are considerations definitely. If all of those other things are filled up, hot sex is like really just the side effect of a really great adult relationship, right? But from having all of these conversations with people, I realized, oh, it can also be like the doorway in to talking about all this other stuff.
Right. Because you said you talk about sex, but all anyone wants to talk about is feelings.
Exactly. All anybody wants. And even if someone's saying, I never have sex with my partner and I miss them so much, and I just wish we could be intimate, it's because they're craving the feeling of like, oh my God, my partner is hot and thinks I'm hot. And oh my God, I gave them an amazing orgasm. And oh my God, they gave me an amazing orgasm. And oh my God. So this is what I say. Okay. It's like, oh, I'm taking it back to an iceberg reference. When we are connecting in the bedroom and I look at my husband's face, I see Leonardo DiCaprio in the front of the Titanic. And he's like, I'm the king of the world. Right?
I love that.
There is so much. Sex has always been a really, really positive thing for me. And I think it was actually a way I could tap into spirituality and divinity before I actually opened myself up to being like, oh, hey, divine, are you there? So it's always been like just such a, I know not everybody has that privilege of it being like such a delicious experience, but I think that's one of the reasons that I'm the messenger for some of this.
Yeah, for sure. And this resonates for me because if I was in my point of life where people pleasing was my main job and staying safe in a relationship by not rocking the boat, it was easier for me to engage in a fulfilling sex life than it was for me to have the conversation around how do you make me feel in this situation? How can I make you feel in this situation? Where can we come together and really connect on an emotional level? Sometimes it was easier to access first.
It is, right? And for some people, for some people, and this is what I think, and actually it's just kind of coming to me right now as you said that. Okay, so some people are so shut off from that part of themselves, right? Because for, protection and coping and different things. And then some of us dip right into it when really we need to actually just have a conversation.
Right. We
Right?
use it instead of a conversation.
We use it instead of, and I know for my husband growing up in a really traditional Greek home, I think honestly, what he thought is if people are having sex, their marriage is in like the top, like, the 90th percent, like it's in the top 1% of marriages, because he just thought like, yeah, that goes out the window really quickly in
I
most
think there's a social
marriages.
construct that says
There
that's
is.
true.
So the fact that we were having good sex a couple times a week, he was like, oh, even though she says she needs blah, 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 like we are still like, oh, we're elite. I really think
Right.
that
Yeah, because if you're having sex, then everything's fine, right? Which
fine enough, right?
fine enough. And maybe that's true. And maybe it's not. But to your point, that when you are in that space where you can have hot sex with a loving partner, it's because all these other pieces are in place and you feel seen and heard.
And safe, and to like really receive and relax, like enough to have an orgasm, like and that's sometimes the message I get from people, like, oh, my partner can't climax. She said she can climax on her own, but she's never climaxed with me. And I'm like, that's amazing, because a lot of women would just fake it. But the fact that you guys are having this conversation and you're saying to me, what do you think I could do? Okay. So lots of times I'm like, you need to talk to a sex therapist, you need to talk to a trauma therapist, whatever. Situations like this, Brenda, I just go, okay, I'm a coach, put on my problem solving hat. Can your partner climax if you're in the house? And say she's in her room solo in the bedroom, and she knows you're like in the front in the living room. Could she if she knows you're outside the door? Could she, like, this kind of like, what is it about someone else being in close proximity that doesn't let her relax and like receive that pleasure and like, just let go, surrender that last bit that it takes to just let that pleasure, let that sensation wash over you?
Those are great questions, because it speaks to the emotional safety of the relationship, which for so many women, that is the first symptom of a disconnect, where they have that lack of emotional safety. And then the next thing that goes is the sex life. And I can't tell you how many people in my coaching practice come and they say, it's been a year, it's been 3 years, it's been 5 years. How do I rekindle this? And the thing I always say first is, are you talking to each other? And are you being physically kind and connective to each other in non-sexual ways? Like hand holding or sitting next to each other on the couch, or even just laying next to one another. Are you connecting in ways that feel safe in those really vulnerable daily moments?
And I am feeling so much tension and grief for those clients right now, Brenda, because I'm thinking like, the longer it goes, the harder it feels like it is to get back to it, right?
And then it feels high stakes, because then they're asking themselves, is this because the relationship isn't right? And maybe it's not. I mean, maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not.
But maybe it's that we've let this go on so long that we think it's normal. And we just need to come back to a conversation and say, hey, I just want to let you know this isn't working for me.
Yeah, normal or safer, because that vulnerability, the vulnerability you need to have good sex. I mean, it's high.
Oh, for sure.
You need to be super, super, super vulnerable to have great sex. And maybe,
and that's part of it. What you just said, you have to be vulnerable. And if you're not willing to be vulnerable with a partner,
if you don't feel safe, right, for whatever
then there's
reason,
an upper limit. There's definitely a limit.
There's definitely an upper limit, because you have to be vulnerable to like, you don't know what sensations are going to come through your body, and you definitely don't know what you're going to look like during those moments, and smell like this and that. And like, I mean, there's so much going on in it, right? Like all of the senses, That's why even like, I ask people in my stories. I do almost all of my interacting on social media through my stories. And
I want you to come back to this, but I want people to know where they can find you in case they don't check the show notes.
Okay, so you can find me at ashleighrenard.com or Ashleigh Renard on Instagram. Ashleigh has a lot of extra letters. Like every letter you'd like to throw in, like throw it in. ASHLEIGH. Okay. And my last name is Renard, Renard. It's French for fox, but I say it with no French accent. I say Renard, like the most English way you could say it. And you come and say hi on Instagram, send me a DM, tell me that you heard this interview on Brenda's podcast. I would love to hear from you. I respond to every single DM, because if someone cares enough to say, hey, thanks, or hey, I heard you talk about that thing yesterday because you dropped the link or whatever, I'm going to reply, because I'm just so grateful people are there.
And tag us both if you want to just, share this episode, because I promise you that there are a lot of people out there who aren't talking about these things who wish they were.
They absolutely who wish they were. And this is the thing that I want for everybody. I want everybody to feel safe enough for like even 5 seconds to ask yourselves, wait, is what I'm believing right now true? Like, it, because we can go on autopilot so quickly, and almost like the pace of society, like almost necessitates it. And you have to go, whoa, I'm going to take time. I'm going to take 1 minute. Brenda, when I first was introduced to the idea of like self-care, maybe you could try this, the instructor, who became a great friend, she's my friend Sheila, she said, okay, pick one doable thing that you could do like most days of the week. What? And I said, I'm gonna go pee when I need to go pee.
That's a great starting place. That's where I tell all my clients to start.
You do. It is such a brilliant starting place. And let's just break it down for people. Okay. When you say to yourself, okay, I would love to tap into my passion and my inner knowing and heighten my intuition and maybe my powers outside of that. Please, universe, give me a sign. And then your body goes, go to the bathroom, and you go, yeah, not that, something else. It's like, okay, your body can't trust you with more than what you can be trusted with. So
my God, that's a mic drop. Your body can't trust you with more than you can be trusted with.
And it will give you opportunities every day. It'll go, hey, here's a hint. And it'll go, did she get it? No, she still didn't get it. And it's like Harry Potter and all the letters coming and coming and coming and coming. It's like, if you don't open it, like every letter says the same thing until you open it. And then the next letter will say something different. Okay. So go to the damn bathroom when you need to go pee. So you will have so many opportunities in the day to go, oh my God, I'm holding it and I didn't even realize. Okay, right. Great, win. That's a win. So what I do is, even if I'm on a podcast interview, Brenda, I'll say, okay, pause for 1 second. I actually need to go to the bathroom. Could we just pause this and come back? If I'm on a phone call with friends, I will turn off the stove and go, nothing. Even my skaters, when I was teaching them, they would know. I say, I'm going to the bathroom, and other people go, I need to go. And I'm like, next time, don't wait until I need to go. You just go. Okay. It'll give you so many opportunities in a day to ask yourself, oh my God, am I noticing any of the cues my body's giving me?
And there's messages all the time.
All the time. And it's like, okay, you need to make that deal. You need to show your inner knowing. You need to show your body. You need to show your heart that you're a good ally, that you're a good friend, that you're going to listen, and you're going to do what you need to do, which means stand up, walk your 2 feet to the toilet, when your body needs something from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, oh, okay, got it. Now, is she going to notice when she's thirsty? Is she going to notice when she's hungry? Is she going to notice when she's turned on? Is she going to notice when she's tired? Is she going to notice? And it's this game then that you get to play with yourself. And you get to catch yourself in not noticing too and go, okay, yeah. So I was ignoring that. Well, begging the universe for some sort of sign over here. Right. So it is a really fun game to play. And it's like, it's a great commitment to yourself that you're not going to be able to ignore, because several times a day, you're going to be reminded about whether or not you're fulfilling it.
So good. So you need to go check out Ashleigh, find her on social media, go to her website. Her books are Swing and Keeping It Hot, the Workbook.
That's right.
And before we go, I have 5 fun questions, just rapid fire style. So the first one is, what is in your morning mug?
It is coffee with a little bit of whole milk.
Love that. Love coffee. Mine usually has almond milk or oat milk or coconut milk.
Oh, and 2 scoops of collagen peptides.
Oh, that's good.
Collagen and a little milk. Yeah. And you can't even taste the collagen because it just totally dissolves in the hot coffee.
Love that. And is there a song that you are listening to right now that you just love? Every time you hear it, you're like,
yes. So after we were at the retreat in Malibu, I was trying to find a song that was on one of the breathwork things. And I was like, I can't find it. I don't know what it is. But then I was searching Sarah McLachlan, and Building a Mystery by Sarah McLachlan gets me so revved up. Like, I don't even know, because when I listen to it, it's like, this kind of sounds like a ballad. Like, why am I rocking out? There's some magic in it.
Okay, I'm going to check it out. I may have heard it, and I'm not great with titles, but
yeah. So it's a song that came out in 1997. You're definitely going to recognize it. It's so great. Building a Mystery by Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah. Wait, who inspires you?
Right now, Kathy Heller fucking inspires me.
I
love how Kathy's like, if you want to do it, just do it. Just if you want to do it, just do it. Right.
Yes.
And how she's not in like, okay, and you have to follow steps A to Z in this order. And if you don't, I love that her ego is out of it. This is really important to me because almost every room I've been in since I was 11 years old, I've been the coach. And I need a leader who is very plugged in and has enough separation from their ego for me to receive in a group coaching situation, or else I'm so worried about everybody else and whether they're understanding and what their experience is, like the other participants. I'm very worried about them. So with Kathy on her calls, I can just really relax and just go, what is meant for me here? What can I hear and receive?
I love that. And I love it because I don't have to play small. I have historically like played just a little bit small to keep people comfortable. And I'm totally done with that. And in large part, it's due to Kathy.
Yeah, fucking done. Because she's like, there's no time for it. It's like, we can't pretend anymore that it's serving anyone.
No, it's not cute. It's not okay. We're done. We're done. Okay. So I have a guess, but is there a podcast you're listening to that you love?
No.
Okay.
No.
Perfect.
I actually have never listened to Kathy's podcast. Never. I heard her on someone else's podcast, and that's how I found her. But I actually don't listen to podcasts. The only time I do, my friend Katie knows I don't listen to podcasts. So she'll send me a podcast that she loves, and she'll say, Ashleigh, at minute 14 and 17 seconds, there's this thing that you would like. And then I'll I usually listen to the whole episode when she sends me something, but no, I don't consume a lot. Even anytime I'm on social media, I'm interacting with my audience. So it's actually really good for me to limit how much I like pour into myself.
That resonates.
Because I get very fixated on what other people are doing and just I can go down a rabbit hole really quickly, just wanting to learn about something completely new.
Yeah.
So no, I actually don't listen to any podcasts.
Okay. That's great. I love that. And I love what you said about consuming. I'm very careful with consuming.
Yes.
Because I want to be thinking my own thoughts. And so I'm very particular around what kind of energy I will allow myself to consume, whether it's in a podcast, a show, whatever.
Absolutely. And that's why I think people love your show, Brenda. And I'm so glad to be here with you, is that the energy is so clean. The energy is just so clean and resonant. And it's just when you're that open to receiving and giving, it's just reminds me of the way I felt when Swing was published. I was like, this book is no longer mine. People are going to connect the dots in their own way. And probably every person you ask what happened in the book, they tell you something a little different, because everything, they're putting their own lived experiences in there. And how they do that is none of my business. Yeah. It's actually not my story anymore. I lived it, that I crafted it into a story for other people to then consume and integrate in whatever way they want. What
a gift.
Thank you. From you too, Brenda, because that's what I feel from you as well. And your listeners and your community are really lucky to have you.
Thank you. I feel lucky to have my community and people like you on my podcast. Ashleigh, I loved having you I've loved having you be here. I have one last question for you. And that is, if you find yourself in a funk, in a low moment, in fear, in sadness, anger, whatever, what do you do to flip the switch so that you can access joy?
Music really helps me. As a coach and a choreographer and a performer, I feel like there's a soundtrack of my life. And every year, so my mom was a skating coach even before I competed. So the year my youngest sister was born, the song they skated to, her oldest team, was La Bamba. So then the baby was singing La Bamba when she was born. Okay, so it's like every year I have these songs, these same songs or same albums that I listen to on repeat, that when I listen to them, I can feel and sense my trajectory over that time. So music, really, and the lyrics. It's the lyrics that I really, really hold on to, that I love female singer-songwriters for that reason. And music can just shift me right out of wherever I am into a higher level.
I love that. Ashleigh, thank you so much for sharing your gifts with us today. And please share this episode with someone that you love. Share it on social media, tag Ashleigh Renard and tag me, because I know that there's people who really need to hear this episode.